It really puts a burden on on Bitcoin.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. I am joined today. He's back in the chair. Big beat. Stephen Orr, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Hondo. Look, being out for a little bit with going on a cruise and seeing the world. I always believe one thing in the world that you need to have channel checks. You need to know what's going on out there. You can't sit behind a desk all day long. And I'll tell you, the world's still moving around. I think people are still, they spent their Christmas and their holidays and their Hanukkah and, they went out there a little bit. They spent some money. When you look at the stores, they seem to be pretty busy. I was out and about at one of the a big Citrus Bowl games. As my alma mater was had won the Citrus Bowl, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, and look, when I see that, I see people out and about, and stadiums are full. And I was in Orlando. I was international water as well. Look, it was full. Cruises were spending money. People were spending money, so they're still out there. The markets are moving, but there's a little bit of malaise out there right now. There seems to be this trepidation of wait and see. And when you look at one administration with the Biden administration trying to sneak some things in here at the end, and Trump trying to get in as fast as possible, you saw a little bit of that trepidation with the House GOP having problems getting the Speaker of the House elected, Mike Johnson. That's some big issues, right? And so I think a lot of people are worried. But what I saw that I thought was very interesting in all of this is that the GOP is trying to pass one large bill into the House, get it over the Senate, get it over the president's desk within 30 days. Not 100 days, 30 days. One of them is increasing the time on the tax relief bill and a few things like that. But hey, right now, my goodness, I think people are happy right now.
Yeah, it seems to be markets are looking to open up to the upside for sure. We see Nasdaq up a little bit over 1 point already here this morning. SPY up about 8/10 of a percentage point here. So definitely looks like we have a little bit of momentum coming back into the market here. Are you worried at all about the dollar there, Steve? DXY took off. Hit a multi-year high at over 109. Has pulled back this morning a little bit here, but definitely had jumped. Steve, I seem to have lost your volume. Can you check?
Yeah, no,
There you
it's great.
are.
Yeah, look, I think it's the dollar here at 109 and then dropping down below the 108 handle here. We need to pull back because the Trump talk, the political talk here is a little high. We're going to put tariffs in every country, and we're going to do. Man, that's not good. When you raise the dollar goes that high against all the other foreign currencies, it makes it very expensive to buy, to buy our products. It makes it very expensive for international people to come over here and spend money. They don't like that. They wait until the Dixie comes down, and right now, but when you look at it from that perspective, it's affecting everything. It's affecting the stock market. It's affecting the bond market. It's affecting, in this case, look, trade is a big deal right now. We're looking at trade for. Think from the perspective of Apple. Those margins are really getting crushed right now, because. But when you look at it from the buyer perspective, so let's say, for example, we'll use Apple's example. You're looking at Foxconn. Foxconn is a good example of that. We're spending serious amounts of money with silicon chips. And so when you produce them overseas, then the dollar's stronger, right? But then they got to come back over. So then it becomes more expensive. So it's kind of a give or take right now, but I don't like the dollar this high. I think it needs to come down a little further, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like you said, rates have skyrocketed back up, the 10-year and the 30-year again at multi-year highs over the weekend. So it does look like longer, higher for longer, without a doubt. Were you surprised at all too that the Trump team has come out pretty quickly after seeing the DXY jump up that much and made it clear that these tariffs now are going to be much more targeted towards industries that have national security implications versus a broad spectrum
Every
move?
company on the planet has still kind of issues, right? I mean, it's not hard to stick a piece of software into software. It's not hard to now I guess hacking in USB-Cs, cables. Look, the truth of the matter is, it's the world that we live in, right? That everybody's spying on everybody, and okay. But the truth of the matter is, we need to have product. We need to have energy. Oh, these things have to make the world move around, right? And so right now, it just seems like the United States is the only strong place on the planet. I mean, you look at other countries, their interest rates. I think I posted that on Twitter this morning. Interest rates internationally are very, very low. They're trying to beef up the borrowing so that they can be compete with us in technology right now. And not too many countries can right now compete with us. So that's why you're seeing the dollar so high. But for me, look, we've had a pullback. My God, we need to talk about one thing before I move on. Is Fubo TV? Fubo, that deal with Disney is now up 230% now.
Wow.
230%. I talked about this morning. It was only up 40%. Now we're up 230% now. Wow.
What's the ticker for Fubu?
FUBO.
Huh. Oh, FUBO. Why'd I put the
Yeah.
U at the end? There we go.
Yeah, look at that, 235%. The deal there is Disney is going to look to buy and merge with Fubo TV to get live TV into the system, along with Hulu and along with what they're already offering. My goodness, with ABC, they'll be the biggest media company on the planet.
Yeah, looks that way. Fubu definitely, people definitely liking that news on Fubu. It hadn't moved Disney that way. In fact, when I
I'm
looked
thinking about even
earlier,
shorting it up here. Like this is kind of crazy here. Right now, this stock is now 200%. So that makes the market cap a little more than a billion five. That's not worth $1.5 billion.
It's not doing much to Disney stock.
No, I don't think it
Sitting right
will.
around to 111. We'll say tech leading the way so far this morning. SMCI up almost 6%. Micron up almost 6% also. Uber got a nice move up today on some analyst reports, up
Yep.
4.55%. Teradyne up nicely. Nucor up. Moderna. So, we're seeing it across most of the market here so far this morning. There wasn't much in the S&P 500 that was down outside of T-Mobile and a couple of others that I had on here. Let's see what was down. Yeah, T-Mobile was down. Palantir is actually down, believe it or not. But that's after being up 6.25% on Friday. So a little bit more of a reason there. One of the other losers, XEL and PANW. Those were pretty much the only real losers when it came to the market so far.
I really want to sell Fubo short here, but I just don't know that I can do it. Man, look at that. Still, it's 473. It's 475 now. But I just, oh, they're 469. Yeah, I had a feeling this is probably where it's at right now. Probably the highs here. POAI has been halted here. News pending. POAI. That's predictive oncology here now. Bitcoin getting back to the 100,000 handle there, Hondo.
Yeah.
It seemed like over the week that the Christmas break that people were selling into it, and I think they were just taking some profit and what we call window dressing. So I think that window dressing is pretty much done.
Yeah, I mean, things are moving into the hands of Michael Saylor and all these other companies that keep on announcing $1 billion worth of buys. So, eventually there isn't that many Bitcoin out there to be moved and to be sold. So, I don't know if you saw Michael Saylor also said he will not be passing down the keys to his Bitcoin to any of
Yeah,
his heirs. The
explain that
Bitcoin
to me.
dies with him.
Yeah, what explain it to me. Why is he saying he's going to burn the keys?
I don't know. He just because he is so adamant that he will never sell Bitcoin. I mean, that's just him sort of overstating the
Okay,
fact
so but
that he will never sell Bitcoin no matter what it gets to.
there it is, 450, 447 now in Fubo. I had a feeling that was the top there. So if you were listening to me this morning, you nailed that one. All right. Yeah, I mean, but if you burn your keys, I mean, that means you can't sell your own Bitcoin, right?
Right? Well, that's what he's saying. He'll never sell it. He uses it as like real estate. If you might have seen, he is actually Mara actually is lending out 16% of their Bitcoin into the lending and borrowing system of Aave. They announced over the weekend. What you're going to see is Michael Saylor, and he already does, uses his Bitcoin as collateral for loans as opposed to selling it. Sort of like what Elon does with his stock, right?
Yeah.
So very, very similar there. Sarence, a pumper from last week, is pumping again here. So keeping an eye on that. CRNC up about 21% here this morning after the 143 move on Friday. It's pulled back a little bit here this morning. We'll see if it gets a pump right at 9:30. We are 20 minutes away from open here.
Bam, look at that. Fubo dropped now 40% here. Up only 200% now. It was up 250%. I had a feeling that that was an easy sell there. Look at that. That's a nice little drop there for you. And it could go even further down as we open here in about 20 minutes here. Keeping our eye here on 10-year now. 10-year pushing back up a little bit. 10-year now at 4.61%. I mean, this is putting some serious pressure on if you're looking to buy a house or a car. The president-elect should be thinking about this as he's moving into these tariffs. I mean, it's really, really causing some havoc here. Oh, there you go. There's a little pop there in Fubo again. Possibly some more buyers coming back in here, I think. But look, to me, two things I think are more important than anything right now, and that's the rates. We've got to see rates coming down, and interest rates coming down. But you saw Mary Daly speaking Friday saying, "Hey, we're not quite done. We're not there yet. We're not." Like, what do you mean? Inflation's still on the board here? Of course, inflation's still here, but that doesn't mean we can't lower rates for a bit. Giving people a break. Because we're just pushing them up. And look, with rates going up this high, it's also very hard on the debt of the United States because we got to pay that back, and it raises the rates on debt, and it just hurts us all the way around. So, if you want to be the country that lowers taxes, lowers rates, great, and you're going to see this expansion again. But if I told you that the combined markets of the United States is over $67 trillion now. That is asinine.
Do you
I
mean the
can't even.
debt?
No, $67 trillion is what the stock markets of the United
Oh, okay,
States
the stock market. Sorry.
are worth combined. Let's put this in perspective. Just 3 years ago, they were around 30 billion, 30 trillion. So, wow. We have more than doubled the valuation. And the last time we saw the markets this high, these kind of valuations, it was 1929. It was the Roaring Twenties, and we know what happened that October. So, I'm not pounding the table still, but I'm nervous. I don't like this. This is too much. There's too much optimism, and it could be buy the rumor, sell the news when Trump does become president. Maybe he doesn't get things that he says he's going to get done. Normal, not for him, but for any president. And I think the optimism in this world is just a little too high right now in the United States.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Yeah, and I don't think rates are coming down anytime soon, personally,
No,
from what they've said. So I don't think you'll see that break you just called for there anytime soon from our Fed. So strap in and get ready for it. The other thing
there you
that's
go. Fed's
definitely on
business.
tap is natural gas, as you called it back at $3, approaching
Yeah,
390 here. We just broke
yeah.
391. A lot of snow here in Ohio. I've got almost a foot here. And they're saying that won't melt until the end of January.
I mean, we just talked about inflation. Here we go. Fed's Cook now. She says, Mary Cook says, officials can be more cautious with further cuts given labor market resilience and stickier inflation. I don't know where they're getting this info from. Maybe they need a copy of Quasar Markets. Look, it's very simple. Uh, they're going to have to lower rates, and they're saying that inflation's sticky. It's going to be sticky when you have these problems. When you raise rates, and the debt's getting more expensive, inflation is going to go up. It's not hard. I mean, this is like, I don't know how to explain to these people. It's 101 economics. I mean, I don't know. To
Well,
me, this
especially
feels like,
since housing is the biggest part of inflation right now at over
yeah,
5% still, and that's being exacerbated through the interest rate. So
yeah.
it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy there.
What's going on here with Bitcoin? It seems to not be able to hold here at 99.5. Is there just that many sellers up there, or is there algorithmic trading going on? What seems to be the big driver here at 99.5?
I don't know. I really don't, Steve. People are just selling off. It's something that I'm not really looking too deeply into right now. I'm
Okay.
more looking at what's going to happen towards March, where we see a lot of calls for $120,000 on the options markets, things like that. I don't get too big into the time frames of an hourly or a minute on Bitcoin. I'm in a long-term relationship with it, not in a short-term dating.
Yeah. And of course, after Mary Cook says that, Bitcoin just dropped here about 500, $600 now, $700. It seems that even crypto is being affected, Bitcoin too, by what the Fed has having to say. Almost on a look at that drop on what she had to say.
Yeah, it definitely is. Everything is very much based upon what we see, in the news cycle every day. That's, I guess, and we've seen it. If the news is positive in the morning, lately we've had a pretty good day. I mean, QQQ getting killed here, down almost a
Yeah,
quarter
I
of a
mean,
point,
that's why I said what you
since
said.
she just
Yeah,
spoke. This was at 524, dropped down as soon as she opened her mouth to 521, a $3 drop right there.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem. We're going to continue to see this hemming and hawing back and forth, and whether it's it doesn't help too. We just had, I don't know if you saw The amount of money Biden just added to the deficit with his adding civil servants who didn't pay into Social Security into the payout from Social Security. And I think you can tell from my tone how I feel about that. And I have a lot of
I don't
friends
feel good
here
about it
in
either. I mean,
D.C. They didn't pay in. They shouldn't get it on the way out. That's just crazy to me.
to me, it felt like he's doing all these things on the way out. I don't even know if he knows what he's going on anymore at this point.
I feel bad because he really is. I mean, giving some of these people Medal of Honors that just absolutely do not deserve it, and I won't get too far into it, but it has been pretty disappointing to see what's coming out of the White House. It's almost like a middle finger in the sky to both his party and the other side
Yeah, agreed,
on the way out
agreed.
the door, and I think that's just a shame to see. He seems to be a very angry and bitter man on his way out the door.
Or it's very scorched earth feel to it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and that's not good for any president to do that, no matter
No,
what.
that's what I mean. Is this was a guy that came in on the run of I'm going to reach across the aisle and be a moderate and do all this, and what he's doing is just sad. Okay, oil, Steve. Up here, Brent at almost $77.
Trump is now saying, hold on one second. Trump is now saying Washington Post story that all pare back my tariff policy is wrong.
There you go. Well, never mind. That's why I asked you. I said I was surprised to see that his team had come out and supposedly walked that back already. That was one of the reasons I asked you that right off the bat. That was a
No.
complete surprise to me that he would walk that back. He does not normally. Steve, what do you think? What do you think oil shakes out here over the next, 4 or 5 days? We're at almost 74 in WTI.
Yeah, 74.50 on the futures here. And look, it's cold. But one of the things that we've saw over the I guess January 1st to be exact, Ukraine got cut off. Ukraine gas from
Yep.
Russia. We saw some more warring going on over there. We now seeing natural gas from Ukraine going into Europe getting cut back, and the coldest winter they've seen in Europe in a very long time. So uh, this transfer from crude oil to nat gas is pretty high. We saw in the last that there wasn't much draw. I'm suspecting that you'll see a big draw after this weather because the patterns in the United States are affecting it as well as over in Europe. I was having a chat not too long yesterday with my in-laws in Ireland, and that it's cold over there, right? It's cold in London, it's cold in Europe, and they burn that gas, and there's no other way to get that, right? So the price of that gas goes up. We have to ship nat gas over, and that pushes us to even using more oil too, as well to burn. So yeah, no, I think there's a definite underpinning of oil here, but we know what it's like. Come next month or two, let's keep an eye on the forward curve on oil. But I would suspect that we get back below $70 a handle probably within the next month or so.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. It's we that jump's been pretty significant. We couldn't get across the 70 mark for weeks on WTI, and now that definitely looks like a floor as opposed to a ceiling. Right
410
now,
now on Fubo. Yeah, Fubo's still pushing here.
yeah, right now we are getting set to open with it looks like all 11 sectors of the spider funds all opening up in the green so far. Biggest one is consumer discretionary up almost a little over 1%. I'm also going to be interested here. Let's take a quick look. A couple of the leaders here this morning in some of the stocks were ASML and PDD based upon the sort of change in tenor from the Trump administration. And we do see now PDD getting hit here over the last few minutes as that news from Trump has come out. You can see that drop from 103 to under 100 here very quickly. Let's see if ASML did the same type of thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at AS. In fact, as you said that, I'm now looking at ASML for a trade here.
Yeah.
I might be going long here. Those that server need for AI, we've talked about it for a lot here, and the AI world is growing. ChatGPT is growing. the server needs for it. I saw over the weekend where Sam Altman was saying that his more expensive version, the $200 a month version, is losing big time money, roughly 700. At one point, I think it was something like $700,000 a day is being lost in that. Um, that doesn't bother me so much, as I know that in the future they'll be needing it. I think he was is just using it as an ability to get more users on the platform to using it. I can tell you that I use it every day now, the $20 version, and I now cannot imagine not using ChatGPT the rest of my life. So, I think that will eventually be something that just gets integrated. Now, the thing that I noticed more than anything, and I've been talking about this for a while now, but the news cycles picked up, is AI agents, where the AI works for us and we just tell it what we want it to do and it does it for us every single day. I mean, I would love for the AI to brush my teeth, wipe my behind, and put clothes on me as I wake up in the morning, go right straight to work. But that's not going to happen, right? Those things are going to change. But what are going to change is the news and how I see it, or the music that I want to play. It'll automatically do all that for us now in a way that's AI agent. That as we change and we get better music and we hear different things, or we want to see different TV shows, the machine will know for us automatically. And that AI agent will talk to the other AI agent and say, here's what Steve wants. Here's what Howard wants to see in the morning. And we didn't even know we wanted to see that. So, yeah, I think the future is a little wonky right now, but I like it.
Yeah. And he had mentioned that a chatbot, can cost about 10 times as much as a Google search to complete on computing
Correct.
costs. But how that would be coming down, obviously, as new chips come. With that being said, also have to talk about this week at the Consumer Electronics Show, it is expected that NVIDIA will release their next generation Rubin chip, or
Yeah.
at least show it off. So, again, we get into what we know is called Moore's Law when it comes to these things. There is an exponential catch up that happens when it comes to, or an exponential move ahead that technology brings to things. And right now, what costs $1,000 in computing in the next 24 months will end up costing about $5. So, that's what we're looking at. But it's why we need so many chips. It's why Nvidia is doing the gains that we've talked about here this morning, and why we see it. It is all about chips, chips, chips. No matter what you look at. No matter what news story comes out, everything is about, as you said, either smart cities, AI, the integration of humanless driving, automated everything, as you were talking about, and the amount of computing that's going to take, from opening up your doors for you when you're getting ready to walk out the door to work every morning, to
We're
automation
hearing
of
right
your
now, hold on a
sprinklers.
second, Howard. We're hearing right now that the press conference has now been called for 10:45 a.m. in Ottawa for Justin Trudeau. He will probably be stepping down at 10:45. I think that I think he's asked the finance minister to be stepping up as they form a new government and a new vote. I would keep my eye on dollar CAD right now as it has exploded to the upside here. Um, Makes it harder, a little less fun in Montreal, but I think I can
Well, it
understand
makes
that.
more fun for the Americans in Montreal.
Yeah, the ones who,
If you want
dollar
to go
CAD.
across the border, $1.43. That's getting back towards when I was 18 years old, and you used to be able to get $1.50 to almost $2 Canadian for an American dollar. So yeah, it is
Yeah, I'm looking at
moving
it
up
now.
here again this morning.
Wow.
And again, not to kick a dead horse, but another anti-Bitcoin, anti-technologist,
Yeah.
anti-crypto politician going the wayside. And we've seen it across the globe, right?
Oh, I mean, it's those people who are against Bitcoin and crypto are being thrown out of office. So I think politicians need to be very, very astute of that and aware of that, because it's happening to them. So, and not
And it's
just
not going to
small.
stop. What they, that's part of it too. Is these companies like Coinbase, like Square, like Mara have billions of dollars now, literally, and or
Yeah.
are worth billions of dollars. So it's not like they're not going to just go sweet, into the night. And I actually they had on a compadre of David Sachs on this morning on CNBC. and was talking about what you're going to see even more so than the growth in Bitcoin. He was talking about things like Ripple and the payment systems and what you're going to see out of companies like Stripe that was just bought, or by PayPal, by Square. Watch these companies as they really emerge to challenge the current banking infrastructure. And that's definitely what we're going to see. We are seeing some of the Chinese stocks getting a little bit hit here this morning also after Trump just came out with that news. So we are seeing a drop down here also, Steve, by Baba, Baidu, and most of the other American repositories of Chinese stocks.
Yeah, I mean, he's waving the flag of tariffs, and it usually doesn't end well. We've never seen it end well. We did that in the 30s. It didn't end well then. We saw it in the 60s. It didn't end well there. And here we go again. It didn't end well with last time we tried to put tariffs on. It did not end up well. And here we go again. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to win the trade war, it's very simple. Make better products. I don't know how else to say that. Right? It's just.
And if the U.S. government just buys American.
That's right. Yeah,
agreed. I think that's
true. That we need to buy more American products. I think that would solve a lot of problems, right? Wow, Fubo just getting smacked here. Just dropped another 50%, so 389 now.
Steve, I got to get your views on this. A lot of the stocks, I see they're actually picking up again this morning after being beat down on Friday. Brown-Forman, Molson Coors, InBev. Talk to Surgeon General might put a warning on all alcohol that it is, that it's cancerous. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's long overdue, but I also think that we've talked about this forever, right? That these weight loss drugs, people are drinking less, and it's really hurting them. I think sales in liquor, are way down. I was in Orlando, Church Street Station area, and you can see it. It was clear that liquor sales are way down. Shots, Brown-Forman, of course, harder liquor. People just aren't doing it, and I'm seeing lots of articles about how young people are really not drinking at all. They're going after experiences. They're going to events, and they're not drinking. They are doing drugs.
I was about to say, the cannabis business has not been the beneficiary like you would think it would be from this, but part of that is just the way that
we're about 30 seconds from open here. Howard, I'm clearly watching Fubo here, see what it does here. I'm thinking about maybe going long here. $386, $398, so $384, $388. We are now open $389, $390, $392. I am now long Fubo. Let's see what I got my orders in at. Oh, let's see. That's not 76. Some selling there. 377 there. 376. 377. And no, it's not 380. 383. 386. We'll see what we got here. 380.
It looks like it's stuck right around 380 here.
388, 385, 383, 382, 384, 380. Heavy volume though. Wow.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see retail jump into this now. You got 13.22 million in volume. Average right now, you got 117 million over that. Trying for you, 389. There you go, Steve.
369 now. We're falling here.
Yeah, now it just fell. Yep.
Yeah, real time here is a little tough, but let's see if I can pick up a few more here.
Tick is negative about 170 here. Advanced decline is positive 29.45. So we're seeing, like we said, a good start when it comes to across the board, but giving that up a little bit here off the start. QQQ is back up over 1 point here after Trump's news. It did move back up a little bit here. SPY's up about 0.7 of a percentage point. Gold, Steve, hasn't done really anything over the last couple of weeks here. Still at 26.25. And I will point out that I saw that our man Peter Thomas chimed in how he had told people at 3,700 to get out of gold right now. So we'll be looking for when he tells us to get back in. We will definitely pass that along here on Quasar Markets. Maybe we can get Peter in next week to talk a little bit about that. Write myself a note here. We do see
Oh,
QQQ right about 424.15 or so right now, up about 1.05%. Advanced decline approaching 3,000 here. Tick has gone positive here quickly. Bitcoin back below 99K.
I'm getting slaughtered here in Fubo.
VIX is
Bitcoin
back
pushing
up
here a little
around
bit.
1626 here. We'll mention that. You see tick now up 150, so moving back in the right direction here. Looks like after the initial sell-off across here, we are starting to see a little bit of a buying come back in. QQQ now up 1.12, almost at 524. And there it goes,
I bought some
524.50
more
here.
Fubo here,
Okay.
averaging down a little bit.
SMCI continuing to move up here this morning, up now 7.5%, it looks like. Uh, Micron up almost 8%. So some of the tech chip sector is moving to the upside here.
3.80 plus
Let's
3.8
see what else
plus.
is moving up. Seeing some things. T-Mobile continuing to move to the downside here. I didn't see any real news on that.
I'm averaging at
But
367 here. I will probably be taking some off if we get up there.
T-Mobile here down about almost 4% now here, 3.61% or so this morning, around 211.19. Is there any place that starts to look interesting to you there, Steve?
Not really.
Okay, just didn't know. Part of that, we're seeing a couple of downgrades here. Seeing a downgrade from RBC to 240 from 255. It's trading at 211
Hmm.
currently. ASML up almost 6% here in the early morning trading here as we have opened up.
3.60 there on Fubo. 3.65. I have an order in to sell here a little higher. Hmm. And yeah, there we go. Come on, Fubo. Pop up there. Get me, get me.
Nice move up. SMCI here, 36.53,
Yeah.
now up almost 10% on the day. So chips are definitely getting some love here.
Hmm.
Your Fuba looking like it's still struggling there at 362 or so, huh?
Fubo slipping again there. Mm-mm.
Steve, I am going to talk with Dr. Alan Ellman this week about an interesting thing I am very interested in, which is using IBIT as a way to start to
Hmm.
wheel trade and use his covered call in a 401k on, basically Bitcoin.
Probably
And
smart because you don't have to worry about taxes on that
yeah, and what my
on
goal is to take the premiums every month and buy spot Bitcoin with those premiums,
smart
still
move.
through my self-directed IRA, which I Trust Capital and a few others allow that. So that's going to be something I'm going to do. It's probably going to be a weekly show because I'm going to look at it on a few different crypto-based and crypto stocks like Mara, like I talked about before, BITF, a couple of others there. So I'm looking at a few different plays also an AI and nuclear on that. So I'm going to start to do a segment there on using sort of some of these covered call strategies and actual use and showing people how it works out and how we can do that. So that'll be something we'll be adding here to the Quasar educational module as it comes out over the next few weeks. Steve, could
Yep.
you update our viewers? I know that we have a lot of exciting announcements coming up. I know you, first of all, are taking off. Where are you traveling to here in January?
I'm off to Japan for the expansion of the Japanese version of Quasar Markets, and then I'm off to Switzerland for Davos for the World Economic Forum, where I'm going to speak about this AI and what we've built. As you know, we've got an award-winning platform here, so we're definitely going to be talking about that overseas. And I've got about roughly 16 speaking engagements just in Switzerland alone. So
Awesome,
busy,
awesome.
busy time. Yep.
And you're going to come in and join us a couple of times during that time, though, right? And do a little live spots from Davos, show what's going on at the World Economic, Council. It's where the money moves, like we talked about. We do have Steve Flanagan. I do want to let everybody know we are back to our full scheduling here this week. We've got Scott Bowers back, the boys from Prosper. They will be on at 1 o'clock every day again. We do have Jeremy Vreeland and Matthew Tuttle back in on Tuesdays and Thursday at 11:30. On there, I'm back with Agnieszka Woods every Monday and Wednesday at noon, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 o'clock. Of course, we've got our main man, Mr. Currency himself, Stephen Flanagan. In fact, Mr. Flanagan's going to be doing his own show on Quasar Markets starting next month, where he's going to be doing Money Moves First every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. He's going to have his own guests and really bring us into the world of Forex trading. So I'm very excited about that. Lots of great things coming here in the new year with Quasar Markets. Steve, what are you looking at here today besides FUBU? Anything else?
Nope. And I'm getting my butt kicked. So, it is what it is.
Hey, listen, you've been about 99% lately, so
Not
everybody
done yet.
takes a loss once in a while, so we all know that. And I've seen you turn these into these what look like losses into wins pretty quickly. So I still have full faith in you there, my man. Bitcoin back above 99 here, so maybe we do get that run. I do want to point out I have sort of laid out here what we need to get above. You did ask a little earlier about that selling. I do have, if we get up above about 100,200, look for another run up to 104, 105. That's been the resistance here. 100,145 is what I'm looking at here. I do think any break above that, and we will see the liquidation start to hit there. And anything, like I said, as I mentioned to Steve earlier, anything in between pretty much the 92,000 to the 100,000 level is just range trading right now, and it's going to be a little bit of sell off from weak hands from newer users. It's also going to be people that are taking profit. We've been advising people on all these dips around 92 to buy. If you move from 92 to 100,000, that 8%, 10% move gives a lot of traders the reason to take some profits. So don't be surprised to see that here as we keep moving. Man, 30-year, 4.84, Steve, again, back up above 4.84%. So it does look like, rates continuing to climb. Just, yeah, no way around it. We'll see now as we take a look here, now that we've been open for about 10 minutes. We were in the pre-market up on all 11 sectors of the spider, excuse me. We now see that we have got 4 of those that have turned negative. And especially when it comes into the utility sector, really getting hit here, down about 1.15% here this morning.
Ouch. Football really crushing me this morning here.
DXY, Steve, jumped right back up on Trump's news, back over 108.30 here.
Yeah.
So you can see how those talks are moving the market.
And we should expect that in the next 4 years, right? I mean, every tweet and talk, and it's going to move the market. So,
yep, absolutely. That's why you got to be nimble. You've been doing this for about a month, where you've been a little quicker to take profits than you used to be, right? Yeah. Because you never know when the next tweet's coming out. So, we definitely want to keep people apprised of that and, trading correctly around it.
All right, we're seeing the Bitcoin pushing a little again, 99.5 here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and if we take a look here, I haven't looked yet to see what is IBIT and some of the others are doing here. Oh, you know what? I took that off of there. I got to put those back on this one. It's on. There we go. Chips seem to be leading the way for sure here, Steve. All of them pretty much positive, with Micron up almost 10% here
Yeah,
this morning.
we're seeing Kramer talking about Fubo here this morning already.
Oh,
So there you
there you
go.
go. That's the end of that. SMCI now up 15% here this morning, Steve.
He crushed me. Ninety-nine,
Steve, I think you just hit mute again.
99.5 just seems to be
There you
where
go. Yeah.
Bitcoin just can't seem to figure it out there.
It's there. It seems to be the spot, like you've said. 99.5 right now, 95.8 we got to a little earlier today. And the sell-off's been pretty quick at those points. I'm not going to lie. That definitely has been there. Steve, I just seeing that MicroStrategy announced they acquired another 1,070 Bitcoin. They now have 447,470
Kelly
Bitcoin.
Services, K-E-L-Y-B. K-E-L-Y-B has been halted here. Oh, there we go. Boo.
Not much volume there, though.
Fubo popping a bit here. Give me a little break. There you go. There you go, Fubo. Keep going.
That Kelly Services stopped on small volume. Advanced decline almost at 3,000 here, 29.30. Oh, just dropped down a little bit, 29.16. Tick is slightly negative here currently. Bitcoin back above 99.5, but WTI now, Steve, over 74, so continuing to move up here.
Yep.
Steve, I
It
saw
just
Boeing
seems,
got its first upgrade in like a year and a half. Did you see that today? So Boeing a
yeah,
little bit of an
once the
upgrade.
problems are solved, I mean, now we know that Boeing's a good company. It just has some problems and is still dealing with those problems, but it seems to be they're getting out of it, and they still have orders backed up for 5 to 10 years. So yeah, I like Boeing.
I'm with you there. I think that, I talked about it while you were gone here. It challenged its 200-day MA
Here we go.
starting last week.
800. We might break here 100,000 here pretty soon here.
Wouldn't surprise me today with all the buys we're seeing across from the bigger companies. Mara announced a big buy today. There were a couple that did. 99,800. I didn't look this one. What's MicroStrategy trading at?
Come on, Fubo. Here we go.
MicroStrategy right at 340. Not really up much. I think that's about, yeah, only up a quarter of a point. I've been up over 350 earlier today. Tell you, you could probably convince me to short some of the Chinese names today that are up 5-6%.
Yeah, I mean this trade war that Trump's putting on here, it's going to put pressure on these Chinese names.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They jumped up on that news over the weekend, quite honestly, that it was going to be more of a targeted tariffs. But now that he's come out to say that, some of these are still up 5, 6%. I think they become attractive to short.
99.8 now on Bitcoin. We might break above.
It's doing its best. It's trying. Can't wait to see what I did was at. Let's do that. Yeah, I bid up
99.850
about
now.
1.64%. Holding right at that 50. I've been shooting up here, up 1.68%. So that's a good sign usually for Bitcoin. It's ahead a little bit there above it. So not playing catch up going the other way where Bitcoin has to catch up to the price of IBIT here right now.
There it is, 99.9 coming up here. We got less than 100
Yeah,
bucks now.
here it
Well, 50
goes.
bucks away, and there's 100,000. Just blew through 100,000 here.
Yeah, looking strong.
Now, does it hold above the 100,000? That's the question, right?
That is where the problem has been. And can it break 100, like to 100,200? That's really what you want to see. And you can see it just struggles to stay above that 100. Got above it again right here.
100,300 now.
Yeah, so we're getting close. There it goes. Gonna start
100,400.
cause some liquidations here now. It should start causing some liquidations.
That's gonna crush me. Yeah, wow. Okay, let's go.
Come on, baby.
That hurt.
I will mention, Steve, as you know, on Friday I nailed Doge for a nice little win there. It got right up to that 40 cents that I targeted, um, and now has pulled back a
Woo!
little bit to that 38
There
cent
goes
range.
Bitcoin. 100,600. As
Yeah.
you know, most of you know, I bought quite a bit on that dip, and I need to take some profit here. So
We'll also point out Solana that I told everybody to start buying when it would drop down to 170, back at 220 here. So nice move up by Solana here over the last few weeks. Again, just before Christmas was trading in the 175 area, back above 220. Solana is going to continue to be a beneficiary here of the new administration.
and I just sold a little bit of Bitcoin there. I bought some, as you know, back down there at 93 when it dipped, and here we are at 100,500. So just sold a little bit off there. And Fubo really crushed me, so I did take the loss there. But
Okay,
the loss is not nearly as big as the win on Bitcoin. So
there you go. That's all that matters. Like we said, you know, you can't go 1,000%, right? Forever.
it's correct.
We'll say, Steve, that when it comes to the alt market, I look at Total 3, which is all crypto not named Bitcoin or Ethereum. And
It
we're
is true.
real.
Canada's Trudeau will quit as the party leader, but he will stay on as prime minister until the new leader is selected. I had that feeling that was going to be the case. It is what it is. So he would stay on, but he would leave as party leader, but stay on until the new leader comes in, and that makes sense. So we know 100,700 now on Bitcoin
Yeah.
there.
And what I was saying there, Steve, is I look at total three, which is the crypto total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we've
Yeah.
had trouble here over the last few days since Friday to get above the 1.06 trillion. So it'll be interesting to see if we break through that, because if we do, our next level of resistance isn't to 1.1 trillion. So it would give a little bit of room for your alts to run here. So let's see what we get here. Looking at that, it is up about 1.33% here this morning. Bitcoin's dominance sitting at about 57.30.
100,800. We could push higher here.
Doge jumping back up towards that 40 cents here, 39.11. That gas 386 here. SMCI, I will point out, does have earnings after hours today, so that should be an interesting one.
100,900. About to hit 101 here.
Yeah, crypto definitely getting a run here right now. And that's with DXY still sitting above 108. We're still running. And the 30-year now, 4.836, Steve.
I'm seeing
Up.
that gas falling too as well. But yeah, 4.62% of the bonds. I mean, that's just crazy. It's still selling here. Oof.
Yeah. We are seeing a nice move though by Nasdaq and SPY and Dow all up today along with the Russell. So we are seeing all of the major indices sort of playing to the upside. Gold actually the only thing I'm seeing sort of negative here. It's just slightly negative.
Yeah, we're still moving here on Bitcoin. One oh one one.
101. Yeah, 101 again. There it goes.
Looks like Mr. Saylor was telling the truth when he said he was going to buy.
He was not lying. It wasn't just him. There was a couple of companies that are in that new Bitcoin standard that all announced buys over the weekend. Trying to hold here above 101. Very nice. I mean, the next resistance really isn't to 102.50, 102.60. So we still could see more upside here on Bitcoin. MSTR now at 355, so that's at highs of the day here. On that news of the buy and Bitcoin's price moving up, MSTR moving up nicely. Same thing, Mara up about 3% here this morning. Micron now up almost 10%.
Yeah. Wow. Free money.
I mean, the market's being led by the Mag 7 here this morning, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
most definitely.
Nvidia up 3.5%, Google up 2.21%, Microsoft up almost 2%, Tesla up almost 2%.
CRNC, the CEO will be on Mad Money tonight. CRNC now up 16.5%.
Let's get ready to short that. CRNC, you just said? Let's take a look at this bad boy. CRNC. Let's see. Oh, well, this is one that was flying this morning. Yeah, this is one that I had on my. I pointed that out this morning. That's on my was on my watch list here on the pumpers this morning. CRNC up about 20%. It was actually up higher earlier. It was almost at $28.
We are expecting the PMI number to come out at 10:45 this morning, but expecting numbers to be 55.4, 54.9. So it looks like we got some PMI numbers coming out. Yeah. And I'm glad I got out of that Fubo TV because still selling off there. Whew.
Is it really? Wow. That was
Fubo
definitely a seldom
now at
user.
$3.08. So I didn't do too bad. The pullback's pretty strong here.
Oh yeah.
1013 now on Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin flying, DXY flying, gold down. We're going to have some interesting things to talk with Mr. Flanagan about here in about a minute or so. I do see him coming into the room. I'll get him loaded up here so you can ask him all your questions of the day. So let's bring him in and see what we've got to say here. Money moves first, and Mr. Flanagan lets us know which way it's moving. How you doing today, Steven?
Happy New Year, gentlemen. I hope this is a very good year for us. And I got to say, I'm going to start off my year with a beautiful quote from the man Ted Williams. You got to be ready for the fastball.
There you go.
Is that the same guy? This got his head cut off, so we've saved his head for down the road.
Yeah, when they do cryo re-engineering, I think, Steve. Yep, that's another field.
I need to run, but it's good to see you, Steven. Happy New Year, man.
All the best, Steve, enjoy your trip.
So, Mr. Flanagan, DXY blast through 108, blast through 109. What's going on?
Howard, we talked about how fast money moves. And, here I am preparing for the show a mere 45 minutes ago, looking at the 107.80 and ready to talk about the Dixie on support levels. And here we are back up at 108, 40 right now, I think. I'm not even sure if it's
108.20, but yeah, it's moving. Were you surprised that the president, first of all, we know it moved over the weekend when there was talk that tariffs were going to be more sort of directed, so to speak, towards certain industries and certain players and not as broad, spectrum. And I actually asked Big Beat about that earlier because I was surprised that we had seen that sort of walk back, but it didn't take long for DJT to get on Twitter and put that talk to rest.
Yeah, and here's the fastball, right? A Twitter boom. We're looking at maybe tariffs on everybody.
Tariff for everyone. He's like Oprah now. Just check under your chair. There's a tariff waiting.
Yeah, universal tariffs. I think, when you begin to look into it, you saw the way the markets exploded. You look into it, and clearly we're probably going to be looking at some way of protecting those infancy type of businesses that are being developed in the US, and that's high tech.
Right? Yeah, chips, chips, chips. I don't know if you saw the news over the weekend. Sam Altman came out and said that ChatGPT, even at their highest level that they charge people at $200 a month, is losing money on that basis. But, that's part of, you and I have talked about this with Moore's Law and how that exponentially gets better, as he talked about. Even there was sort of I thought he was almost clickbaiting because he put that out, then he quickly came back and said, but with that in mind, what costs us $1,000 to compute right now will cost us $5 in the next 24 months. So he comes out, scares everybody that there's no profit to be made in AI, and then comes back and then, has to, correct himself there.
Right. And another example, Howard, of our theme that we've been talking months now. Everything is interconnected now electronically. So the responses are instantaneous in the form of a price adjustment that
Right.
we begin to see, and everything. And this is my main thesis of why our central banks are so behind the curve, because they're not reflecting the instantaneous nature of our marketplace today, and still basing so many of these decisions on wait and see. Let's let to take a look at last month's data before we make a move on today.
Yeah, you look at the rates and they've just skyrocketed back up to, multi-year highs, basically the 30-year at 4.84 here, the 10-year that we watch so closely, 4.62. It's got to have you wonder, right? Because they're talking about inflation's 2.4%, right? The only goal is 2. So we're not too far away. And the biggest part of inflation that Miss Clark just talked about was houses. Well, guess where that inflation comes from? Your mortgage. Your mortgage rate. So what are you trying to tell us here? When are they going to make up their mind and realize that higher for longer is not the answer?
I like to, say you and I, we're just two little cogs in the machine,
Yep.
and yet we can figure that out. And that's the amazing part of, I think, what's going on globally, is that people who are a part of the cogs in the wheel are all beginning to figure out. Look around the world. You've got Austria now, the head of their government is stepping down, and the chairman of the Conservative Party. You've got France that has a new majority government trying to get through a budget. They're already well outside the European rules, and they're going to collapse probably again. And then you've got the German situation where they're having a brand new election coming in, and let's just bring in Trudeau.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's stepping down from the head of the party. But guess what? Bye bye. I mean, the opposition, the conservative movement is already growing. He had to move today, because the longer he stays, they have to have elections by October. You're going to see them fast forwarded, because the longer he stays in power, the more it's going to be a landslide against him. And so you just throw in Australia. You've got their elections coming up this year, and then Italy suddenly coming over here against the European grain and meeting with Trump in Mar-a-Lago. So many things are going on globally in this interconnected world, and it's changing rapidly, hence money moving so fast.
Yeah, I mean, there is no doubt. I was looking at some things. Germany's inflation 2.7%. It was at 2 just recently, so that's going the wrong way. Also, France services PMI is still below 50. You sort of use 50 as that. Are you moving? Like you said, GDP at zero point 0.01, 0.02. You're alive. The only place I'm seeing some decency is out of Spain. Believe it or not, seems that their PMI shot up this month. So
That's right. All the PMIs were slightly better. So everybody, and of course, then this CPI comes out of Germany, and immediately look at you get a 1% move in the euro dollar, but
right,
then everybody steps back and says, what about the dilemma that the ECB is now in? Inflation ticks up, and their mandate is inflation, not growth.
right.
Will they cut rates at their next meeting? Based on that number, it would appear no. So look out for the economy to tip into the abyss now.
Yeah, I mean, it really is like they're leading themselves directly into, getting ready I had to think about it. I have to laugh because on my, social media this weekend, I love wildlife, and they were showing the water buffalo somewhere in Africa jumping over the cliff to avoid the lion. And I feel like that's what we have going on in Europe right now. Is they're literally jumping to their deaths, as opposed to fighting for their lives.
Absolutely. And so let's bring this home to currency, because we're talking about the macro backdrop. How does this relate to currencies? So you've had this move back to a 107.80 in the Dixie. You're going to have to, you must, in my estimation, be looking to buy dollars on dips. Or
Okay.
in the case of its components, the euro dollar, you just made a move back up to 104.30, 40. You must be selling these rallies because the world is moving in, and it looks as though it is a dollar de facto play here because the rest of the world is driving themselves into a rut. There is no economic growth, and economic growth is the cornerstone of why you are investing.
Absolutely. So I have to
So I
ask
look
you, I
at,
have the euro dollar up right now. I just moved
yep,
down what our resistance had been. We had been talking about that 105, 106 area. Well, right
yes.
now it looks like we can forget about that for a little while and sort of focus in, like you're saying, at that 104.50 level as our current resistance. Do we need to move our support down back down to this like 102.50 area, 102.25? Or do you think that we're going to start to see it hold up in this 103.2 area?
Well, if we're day trading, I look to sell any bounce 104.50 to 105 the figure. If I'm looking for support, I'll clearly have to come in around the 102.20, which is our low. But I'm looking for a test of parity here.
Okay.
While a lot of European entities, which well, this is a big story, but let's just briefly talk about cross ownership. In Japan, this blew up Japan in the 90s. The stock market collapsed because everybody held 5% of each other's company.
Right.
And that was then outlawed. No more doing that. I won't sell yours, you don't sell mine. And such a small amount of the stock actually was traded in Japan back in the 90s. Bring it to today. It's a cross ownership of debt within Europe. The quasi governmental agencies, like your electric companies, all buy each other's debt. And hence, they all come in and somewhat support this euro for as long as I've been trading. But that's 43 years, and the euro has only been in existence since 1999.
Right.
They all come in and buy 102, 103. It's going to break, and that's going to create a big problem in Europe, especially as we just defined the ECB is focused on inflation, not growth.
Yeah, without a doubt. I saw Mexico consumer confidence there really starting to drop. We've been watching the Mexican, dollar to see where that thing would sort of break out. Are you seeing any changes there that you're looking at? I see that it's down, almost 1.5% today.
I like the dollar mex up around this level, 2032 to 2050. I think that you've got to look at the mex. Yes, I agree that the situation we've been talking about this economics are degrading. Interest rates are still 10%. So therefore,
Right.
there is still an appetite to buy mex, sell dollars up as we move into these higher levels. When you look at that chart, you can see the tops
Yeah.
and the subsequent moves off of the tops, indicating that if somebody's sitting on a lot of, our fund managers are sitting on a good cash supply, when they see a bounce in the dollar mix, they quickly move in and buy MEX at 10%.
Yep, that's what it does look like for sure. Are there any? What else are you watching for this week, there, Mr. Flanagan?
Well, I'll just briefly talk about you had the China PMI come out and it rose to 52.2 in December. That's up from 51 and a half. That is one of these emerging positives I'm watching in Asia. But more
Okay.
importantly, my focus on primary is Japan. And I'm watching Japan because you've got a situation where the numbers, inflation numbers in Tokyo that came out in Christmas week were actually higher.
Yeah.
Now, the dollar yen still is a 0.25% interest rate, but the Bank of Japan does meet first up on our agenda January 24th. And suddenly, with the Bank of Japan comments from BOJ Ueda, who said Monday, the timing of adjusting the monetary support depends on economic price and financial developments. Well, those are moving in a positive trend now. And so I'm thinking you could see Japan move its interest rate higher, which will affect the dollar yen at these levels and the yen carry trade. That's number one on my agenda. Secondarily, I'm watching China. I'm starting to see some sort of movement based on its previous stimulus. Watch out, they don't come out with another stimulus package, which they're predicting in the very short term here. And you may end up seeing Asia pop here, and that's the way I'm beginning to formulate my opinions right now in the macro world. Staying
That
away from Europe, staying away from the UK, staying
yeah.
off of all the emerging markets, looking for opportunities like in the MEX. But your Asia is where I think we may have a little bit more. And when you see dollar yen above 157 to 158, you're in BOJ territory. And when they intervene, they don't come in with a small hammer. They come in with a big giant mallet and sell dollars.
Wow. Okay. It's funny because China was one that I was looking at today. It shot up over the weekend on that news. Some of these Neo and stuff was up 5-6%. That I was actually looking on the other side to maybe do a short-term short there. Just because we've seen this, these jumps in China have not been sustainable so far. But I might be a little bit more wary now based on that talk there that you think that it could start to turn around because, like you said, all it takes is a stimulus announcement and it moves the market, tremendously. So that's good. Some great insight there. Appreciate that.
And to just bring it to a price movement, which was my specialty, you can look at any stock, any instrument that you trade. When everybody is short, as they are in China, right?
Yeah.
We've been talking bad news in China now for months and months. So the market is leaning on the short side. Right now, the ingredients are beginning to formulate with a timed stimulus now. You're going to see one side of the market lose out here, and that
Right.
the market is short. So day trading, I couldn't agree more with you. That has been the price action, sell the rally. However, the ingredients are beginning to move into place. Make sure you maintain very sharp risk management on
Absolutely.
short.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. That's exactly what we talk about here, and the short term and the long term on that. Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the next month brings here. Obviously, I think the key thing that we can definitely say is volatility is back in play. And didn't really leave. It left for about a week there of Christmas. It seems like Santa took it with him. But now it's back in play for sure, and every news data point is just moving the market quickly.
And that's a symptomatic of our electronic marketplace. Every data point has a new weighting into the equation, and the formula then has to readjust, which means trading has to exist. So watch, and to understand that, to your viewers, to understand that, look at a 1 minute price bar after any release, such
Yeah.
as this Friday payrolls. Watch
Yep.
the instantaneous price adjustment.
And we've seen so much lately where it's been wrong. The first moves have not been indicative of where the stocks after earnings are going or any of these things. They've actually been false signals a lot because of that, exact thing you're talking of. An
And
overreaction to news.
this is why trading, we love volatility,
Yep.
because absolutely moves happen that are knee jerk reactions which we can fade.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we've seen it across the board on these. The one that'll be interesting to watch today, if you're watching the stock market, is watch SMCI has earnings after hours today. It's been up about 15% here this morning. Let's see what's it up now. It should be towards the bottom here. SMCI. It's not even on my top list anymore. Whoa, it's on this list. Here we go. Up only about 10% now. Already, like you said, giving back 5% of those early morning gains. We'll see how it goes here. Thank you so much, like always, for joining us, Mr. Flanagan. We'll see you again on Wednesday, and we'll be getting ready for that jobs data on Friday, which I think is going to be the next big data point that moves the markets.
That's right. Looking forward to it, Howard. Happy New Year to everyone.
Same to you, sir. Thank you so much. And for Quasar Markets Live, we'll be back at noon with Agnieszka Woods, and then at 1 o'clock with Scott Bauer and the folks at Prosper Trading. Thank you so much.